All right, so this video is going to take us through one of my favorite parts of the training project, and that is the cow catcher. So the cow catcher is cool because it uses a loft, and if you don't get that loft quite perfect, you won't be able to make the sketches on the front for the little indentations. It also utilizes the shell tool, which we haven't quite used in the general class yet. So let's get started with a new sketch on this top plane. And essentially what I'm going to work on first is the larger surface of the cow catcher on the bottom. And it's going to have a general shape, okay, like this. And I'm going to put some of my dimensions in as I go. So that back line is 1.8. It has a line right here that's 0.25. Okay, we can find the midpoint of this and come down. Okay, and then we can kind of hover over this line. I'm not clicking just so we can get that close. See our little dashed line and close this in. Okay, we have to add some dimensions to make sure that that point is in the correct spot. So let's grab our dimension tool. Okay, so on this bottom one, that sticks out an inch. Okay, let's just double check that this is in fact 0.25. Cool, it is. And if it's a redundant dimensional, gray out. And sure enough, it is. Okay, so we do not need that. Let's make sure that this is in fact 0.9. It's in the middle, and cool. It's also redundant, so our little snapping worked perfectly. We don't need these dimensions. Okay, so that's where we're going to leave that bottom sketch. Okay, I'm going to finish that sketch. Now what we want to do is create an offset plane. We're going to create a plane that is 0.75 inches above this plane. We're then going to create a smaller shape just like this. That's the top of that cow catcher. And we're going to loft between those two surfaces and we'll fill it in as a solid. So I'm going to grab the plane tool. It kind of looks like a sheet of paper. Okay, when I grab that plane tool, I'm going to click on our plane here. Great, we're going in the correct direction. If we're not going in the right direction, then we can just change it with this little arrow or drag it. It gets offset 0.75. Check mark. And cool, you'll see this sweet little parallel plane up here. Okay, let's make a sketch up here. Sketch. I'm going to go into my top view. Okay, now we could use the project tool right here and project the line from our sketch below, which is pretty handy. Okay, and then from there, I would rather draw the rest of the lines. Okay, but that will make sure we're like kind of drawing these in the same plane. The rest of these lines, okay, I'll just start from here. These sides are 0.25. Still go out to a midpoint, which is probably not going to let us. There we go. Okay. Just saves us from writing in a dimension. That's cool. Okay, now what I'm going to do is grab my scissors and I'm going to trim that line that I projected. That way when I look at this, I just have the line that I need, okay, or the lines that I need. I have to verify that a couple of these dimensions are spot on, or like I said in the last part, we're going to kind of get a wonky drawing here. So I'm going to dimension this tip, which is 0.75. Cool. And then these each are 0.3 from that edge. If I make these each 0.3, that will give us our correct dimension of 1.2 from here to here. If I add that, that would be over dimensioning it. So I'm not going to do it. And that's cool. And it's going to gray. That's too much. That's over dimension. We don't need that. Okay. We should be pretty cool. That's in the right spot. That's sticking out correctly. Let's just double check and see if we get that gray over dimension line if I put this in. And sure enough, cool. So everything was snapped where we wanted it. Just double checking. I'm going to finish this sketch. Looks beautiful. Now I'm going to do a loft. All I do is click, click. Wonderful. Finish. Okay. I'm going to come back at you in a part two. Part two, we're going to shell this, add these two cutouts, and